Hey everyone, it's Lauren here, and I'm so glad that you are joining me for another devotional video. And I want to talk about prayer today because I know that this is something that many people can find challenging. So often our idea of what prayer is something that takes place in a room where you can shut a door and be without distractions and on your knees with your eyes closed. But for me, in order to try to pray without ceasing, as scripture tells us in my life, I need to expand that definition of prayer a little bit. Mary Oliver, in her poem, As I Happen to Be Standing, or While I Happen to Be Standing, considers how the natural world might pray. She thinks about a bird that sings during the day that she's observing and wonders aloud if this bird in its singing could be praying, if the bird's song is a form of bird prayer, if you will. I think that's such a beautiful question, and I think it's a question worth considering as we think of what it means to pray without ceasing and what it means for humans to be engaging with God throughout our day. In our current culture, we are so valued by what we can produce. But we know that God doesn't value us for what we can produce. But God values us because of how God has created us, what we do in our day-to-day lives where we find joy and where we can be praising God. So I wonder what the human equivalent to birdsong might be. I think it probably has something to do with where we experience joy, where we are attuned to the gifts that God has given us. So how can we turn those types of moments into moments of prayer? This week, I want to try, as I'm exercising and moving my body in a way that I have been created and am still blessed to be able to do. I wonder if I can spend some time while I'm exercising, not changing anything that I'm doing necessarily, but just being aware of the blessedness of being able to move. And thus, through my movements, have that be some sort of prayer to God. I also wonder if while I am making dinner, cooking, creating things to sustain me, to give me life, if I can do that in a way where I am attuned to what is going on and in conversation about what it means to not only be enjoying life, but to also be taking into account the human need of food, the human need of sustenance, which of course comes from God, that I can be thinking about that while I'm cooking. I wonder if there's also some things that you might be able to think of that you enjoy doing or find yourself doing throughout your day. How can you transform those things that you're doing, those habits, those practices, to have a more prayer-like way about them? I invite you to think on this, to be experimental and curious about how you can transform the certain things that you do throughout your day into ways of being prayerful and of being in conversation with God, even as you continue to move about your day. That's all for now. Take care.